These are all new ones. Written about 2,500 poems in the last 5 years. The last 12 years, yeah. This first one is called Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit or Celsius, inches or centimeters, cups or liters. Does it really matter? Maybe it does to a mathematician, but not to a scientist. Besides, I'm a poet, and then I write, and when I write, I get hot under the collar, measure my success down a couple of beers, and call my scientist or mathematician in the morning. This is a nostalgic one called Hold the Phone. Remember that phrase? Remember holding it for someone else? Remember saying just a moment? Remember the operator listening in? Remember all the gossip that followed? No? All I remember is heads down, glued to the screen with thumbs at the ready. Now that's holding the phone. Remember holding the phone for yourself? Remember having the thumbs at the ready? Remember texting someone and waiting for an answer? Remember all the texting gossip that followed? No? All I remember is someone talking to the air with fingers catching the empty air. Now that's holding the phone inside your virtual 3D glasses. Remember not holding the phone but wearing virtual 3D glasses and fingers catching the empty air? Remember all the holographic gossip that followed? No? All I remember is thinking a thought, and that thought goes out to a friend and they receive it telepathically. And all the gossip from the telepaths begins. So much for progress. Here's my political one, called Reality Check. Did my reality check just bounce? Is seeing really believing? This is supposed to be a democratic republic, but the Constitution written more than 240 years ago and founded on the principles of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Did my reality check just bounce? Is seeing really believing? This is supposed to be a free country, founded by revolting against a colonial tyrant, ruling ourselves with freedom instead. What kind of freedom did we fight for? Did my reality check just bounce? Is seeing really believing? We have gone through many wars, preserving that liberty and freedom, putting together an idea that should be right. So what the hell happened? Did my reality check just bounce? Is seeing really believing? Yes, what the hell happened? I think our forefathers made a mistake. They should have written a more detailed Bill of Rights and revolted sooner from Britain. Did my reality check just bounce? Is seeing really believing? We should change the way we see freedom. We should change the way we see liberty. We should change the way we see pursuit of happiness. It's a time where we change ourselves to meet the requirements of living with freedom. Let's revolt against this tyranny and forge a new nation founded on love, acceptance, and compassion. Then we go forth and love, accept, and have compassion for each other by literally living that life of liberty and pursuit of happiness.
A, B, C, P, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Come on, we all know the letters. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. All right, now we have to go to poetry. And I get to do this. I love to do this because you have to use it. If you bring it, you gotta be right on the money.
Enjoy the next 3 minutes. It's the green. What sort of a man is this, rising from fetid abyss? Drippy. Okay, I messed that one up. Marble lady never cries, every curve engraved with lies. Skin is white as fallen snow, suffer Michelangelo. Oak begins to fade away, life is lost on such a day, delves within my solitude, creeps upon my bone for food. 10 commandments, human laws, golden calf with open jaws, tablets broken at first glance, man deserves a second chance. King Henry had many wives, everyone gave him the hives. After all was said and done, stacked up high, they weighed a ton. Seconds add so very still, gratitude, she downs the pill. Daughter, or maybe a son, death toll at 1001. Raindrops fall 10,000 feet, mimicking the human beat. Slaves to kings, they all have strength. Roly-poly show their length. Pyramids, 2 million stones, the Great Wall develops crones. Sand and flesh will never, okay, mess that one up. Only one fell from the wall, men and horses overhaul. King upset, Queen Humpty licked, hair found in eggs Benedict. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick, time talk. Cuckoo, cuckoo, 2 o'clock. Tick, 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 metronome, dong, 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 Big Ben syndrome. We already did the ABCs. ZYX, WVUT, SRQPO, NMLKJIHGFED. We all know it from C, don't we? CBA. Thank you very much.
All right, this is one of those that I found in a notebook somewhere, unfinished, and just finished it, so who knows when I started it. It's called When Your Words Turn to Sounds. Your voice degrades from human speech to broken sounds and then becomes music. I hear each note of what you mean to say, not as words, without the meaning language has. There's a melody, a fluid expression of meaning, a different flavor of language, like birdsong. Wordless, a flowing repetition of varied pitches, harmonious, pleasant in its nonsense, calming in its lack, in not requiring the making of sense, but only the listening. Phrases of blame break down to components of tone and timbre, insults and anger parse into particles, becoming backbeat undertones. I assure you I hear you, and it's the truth. I smile as the rhythm and melody coalesce, your song like honey, smothering the poison of your words.
Hi everybody. That was really beautiful. Thank you so much. And I do remember, of course, the performance with Raygon, and there are all of those videos, as far as I know, are still up. So you have to look up Tiffany by her married name, Tiffany Schramm, on YouTube, and you should be able to find those older Ghost Town videos. So I have 2 pieces to read. And the first one, I called it Hess Station Hitlers, and then I realized that I don't know that Hess is a thing here. So maybe in the Northwest you have to call it Arco Station Hitlers or Chevron Station Hitlers, I'm not sure. Give me your opinions later on.
I've never heard of
about that. Yeah, I guess it's more of an East Coast thing. And they're all owned by the same three guys anyway, right? No honor in possessing the talent to trash all their shiny things, the ability to cut them. Sometimes you make it so personal, to redirect our attention from your overboiling bile, your pus-spewing spleen. The bitterness over your many failures, the shattering of your kind facade. You see yourself as solid, true, defined, yet remain as fluid and unstable as the weakest culprit crew. Do not sully the pattern, artificial, necessary, essential in your estimation to maintaining a sense of well-being. Obviously, it was stressful to realize that it was all for nothing. And everything shatters, explodes into fractal supposition, preconceived notion, orthodoxy received and enforced by tiny thugs in enormous pickup trucks, veering here and there like untamed horses, pulverizing anyone unlucky enough to get caught beneath its tires. Power given away so long ago that you've completely forgotten how to wield it, and so others must suffer for your inadequacy. Still, any night manager can figure out how to completely dominate his cash-hungry charges, present his swollen chest, feel important for a minute, in control, or at least in charge of this right here, if nothing else in his life. Perhaps there is no reasonable explanation. Do you think that you could handle that eventuality? How far are you willing to take this professed love for chaos? Which misstep will prove enough to break you, to finally unleash the bloodthirsty SS officer inside? Inhale, disrobe, discard your overseer's cloak, allow light in, breathe. Although that may sound somewhat judgmental, I want you to know that it's written in solidarity with working people everywhere. And so this is a collage poem, which means that all the material was borrowed from someone else or somewhere else. Some of the people in here: Peter Matheson, Erica Badu, Rachel Maddow, Joni Mitchell, David Lynch, Frank Capra, and a few others. It's called "I'm Convinced of the Vitality of the Seed." My home and life's work were taken away. I escaped into the sanctuary of story. Pained audits of the damage incurred as a result of treating flesh and blood conflicts as clashes between allegorical opposites. It's a tether, a kind of malady, a very mysterious business. Artists don't make art. The art makes itself through us. I'm not the doer, I'm just along for the ride. Poetry is the conduit that makes things happen. It's the thing that feeds you and eats away at you, gives you life and is killing you at the same time. The energy is not to take, it's to dance with. It's about a process of becoming a container of different archetypes. It is immersive. You zoom into this tiny world and it becomes galactic or immense. This is how I'm going to die one day, crushed under a pile of paper. Explosions notwithstanding, the soul is an illusion. It gets tiresome after a while. This predicament is a gift from God. If you get rid of the demons and the disturbing things, then the angels fly off too. There is the possibility in that mire of an epiphany. The purpose of life is an expansion of happiness only the valiant can create. Telling about ourselves in the hope of being recognized as we'd like to be. Thanks.
And wow, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Tola. Thank you, everyone. They're really wonderful poems. I have a very short one for you that's fairly recent, and it's called "The Passings of Time." The last time I visited with my grandfather, he was plowing the tobacco fields in the rise up behind the house, 100 years old. 98 degrees Fahrenheit. My flowered aproned grandmother had the wood stove cranked up to make me a biscuit. Gramps adjusted his felt hat, stained with years and years of effort, looked up as while he flicked the reins of the horse. He lifted his hat to me, gave me a quick smile, I know we would soon share a plate of biscuits and cornbread, me drinking sweet cold tea and him strong black coffee, his biscuits in a bowl filled with buttermilk, him saucering his coffee while he asked about my college studies.
The two that I have, one of them is actually one of our feature journals. One of my favorite events for this area is the powwow that happens over Father's Day every year. And it's a really great event. If anybody hasn't had a chance to go, it's really exciting. And you meet a lot of very interesting people and see a part of the culture that we normally don't get to see. The traditions, even down to the dress. Some people they hand make their own outfits out of like traditional materials, and they're very elaborate. So I've been kind of feeling the Native American vibe for poetry, and that was one of the reasons that I was drawn to this book. And then also this one, which is Ghost River by Trevino Brings Plenty. He's also one of the contributors in this anthology, so I'm going to read a couple from there. Okay, this one's called Typhony, and it's by Sai Waha. This is the deepest part of the world. Birds don't fly here, but there is the sound of wings. The smell, just a struggle in the earth underneath the musty floorboards. Monsters hatch fully grown from their eggs. Snaky legs indicate chaos. I carry sad omens, slobber down the psychic's legs to her feet pointed backwards. I roll off the back of the skull strapped on top of a fox who shapeshifts into the irresistible. A Christian, Oklahoma-shaped and melancholic, caught at the entrance of a ditch as the best breath of me tornadoes into the next county. And this one, it doesn't have a specific title. It's under Hunter Gatherers, and it was part number 3 by Janet McAdams. In spring, when you come down hungry from that other mountain, the space between one rib and the next, deep enough to lay my finger, how much will you remain or linger, bone or mouth or memory, of the first sadness of humans? Will you dig from the crevices of the paper where they wrote you down as this instead of that, or startle at the clatter of plates? The creak of the wooden bed, will your skin shake off its fur, your claws remember they were fingers, and the hands, meaty as paws, soften into what I once could stroke or suckle? And this one, I like the back of it. It says that there is no such thing as Native American poetry, and it goes on to explain that there are poets that are Native American, but there isn't a specific genre of Native American poetry. Okay, and these from Trevino Brings Plenty. This one's called The Well. When the well was deeper than you recalled, relationships were shaped by its structure, its water's effect all you touched. And we dipped our heads into these buckets, darkly filled with the family story. Cousin, look at what our mud has handprinted on our cousins. We filter the soot from image kept in our trunks, stowed in your basement. Some fires this liquid can't extinguish. We ignite them with our tears. Some wells were buried years ago, some half dug. Cousin, my back is strong. We will tend these waters together. We will dig wells for our neighbors. Cousin, we will pull through together. And this last one is Little Cultural Teapot Curio Exposes People. The thought codex of a culture is in the object. My cells are in the weave. DNA strands of story. The neuron mapping of us. Familiar dialogue as concrete as dream. I give this tomb to your mom, who turned it into your grandmother, who is your daughter's love, unraveling at the kitchen table. We story ourselves to ancestors, for they are to us a future, who wondered at our language. The structured hands contains schematics to that which we reimage. We are everything all the time. As story, as people, we turn home. I stitch coordinates, systems, pathways. The hues of age bind us. It is simply love of our people.
I wrote this after a funeral. These words could be my ashes to scatter when I'm gone. And if you choose to do so, an anchor to hold on. To remind of me what I was before, scattered moments of my heart. When we both tread upon these same and separate memories, a flickered flame that was unconditional.
Reconstruction of the mic here. Okay, well, it's good to be back. Good to see you all again. My first one is timely, I guess. It's called For Natalie Wood. And I'm sure you've all heard the stuff that's going on in the news. I wrote this in 1987 when this thing first happened, but it seems to be back. Anyway, for Natalie Wood, I didn't know her, but I knew her fear because it was my own. And I can tell you that she didn't die by drowning. If she drowned, she died of terror first. I have known fear, and I know drowning isn't fast enough. This one is called At the Harbor. Faint memories tug at me like small boats tied to a dock, tug at their moorings. Loose knotted ropes slip easily. Tides lap persistently. Little crafts strain their anchors, hugging the shore out of habit. Finally, the current has pulled long enough. One of them breaks away, drifts silently, wave by wave, to the open sea. Who remembers what has passed when the shallow wake has closed over itself? It was an old man. And this one is called, the last one, is called Remodeling. Having discovered that we are much alike, don't assume that we are identical, or should be. Please, don't tear off little corners of my life when you find pieces that don't fit yours.
A picture of protest in Portland. The sun cuts a line on the ground on a hot summer's day. Two camps sit opposed to each other, fearing what they think the other represents. Red, white, and blue holding on to an America that never was. Black and red afraid of the America that has always been. The only color in common is spilled onto our streets.